Yo, how's it going? What's up, YouTubers? Hey, been digging into some of these rules and regulations, and I've seen some people talk about some stuff. I just passed a sign that said Stuckey's with the halal meat, and is that sacrificing the meat to a demon? Or just a false god, or just practicing a foreign ritual while killing the animal. You got like the kosher thing, and then the halal meat, and see, they're not the same. That's not the same. And then I remember a while back, there was some talk of that, pretty regular. And I said, some of the people that I looked up to, they were talking about, well, we don't eat over there because that's the halal. And I was like, what's that got to do with anything? And they said, well, in the kosher, it's not just the substance, but the way that it's harvested. So, like, as it turns out, sorry, that's an ABS thing, but the light goes on and comes off and makes that sound. Anyway, the process of harvesting the critter for dinner, how you go about doing that's a big deal. And we even see it in the first church. They said, as they were going out to the Gentiles, to don't eat strangled meat and don't drink blood. And, they'll figure the rest of it out, just come to church. And they said, place no further burden upon them. So the first church, in their estimation of if we're going to go evangelize the world, what they were consuming was a big deal. So the implications of the deception in the last days, I mean, it's glaringly obvious with this context for me when I, connect the dots in this manner that I ought not tread I shouldn't eat that. You know what I mean? Like, I should err on the side of caution, because that's one of the things. Like, it's like a huge deal when I'm looking at it. To me, the way I'm looking at it, I could be wrong. I mean, I've been wrong before. But it seems overwhelming that it's critical. Because I've been doing all this stuff about, how to hydrate proper and, eat this, don't eat that, get your vitamins and minerals checked, check your genetics, make sure, check your MFKCR gene to see if you're able to process certain vitamins and minerals, supplement where you need to, like the methylated folate and stuff like that. A lot of your energy drinks have methylated vitamins. That's why people, they're drinking the energy drink and they feel good for a little while, and then they crash because it's synthetic. It's a synthetic replacement. But you can actually get the real stuff, and like methylated folate's like $7 for a 30-day deal. Anyway, going to your doctor and saying, okay, does my carcass have the building blocks of life? And then sure, yeah, we can pray. There could be some miraculous. You know what I mean? I don't want to put God in the position of testing him to see if there's a miracle. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be like eating strangled meat, drinking blood, any kind of crazy. I don't want to be crabbed out with crawdad. I'd rather have the dad and follow his instructions, because it's best can you get by? Can you live on it? You're like Crocodile Dundee. Well, you can live on it, but it tastes like shit. Maybe that's my cusso-meter. Anyway, it's pretty hot. Thinking about getting rid of the mustaches because it's hot. Anyways, I passed a place that had a big old gate, and they had a horse up there. I guess they did thoroughbred horses. I was like, look at this guy on his high horse. Anyways, it's very important what we eat. Daniel was like, he wasn't eating the delicacies. So at what point does it go into the delicacy? So like I always think of like the rich man's Little Debbie for some reason. You know what I mean? Like some kind of specialty cake. It's got fancy icing, and they squeeze it out of a bag and wrote something on there, and it's got the little castle style trim or whatever. You got some crown molding on your cake. Delicacies, right? But it turns out some of that can be the different foods, the way the food's raised, the way the food's processed, on and on and on, and then how the chef brings it to table, and then like the tablecloth, the presentation, blah 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 blah. I know that my wife would probably, if I presented the broccoli, you know what I mean? Like if I cut the little flowerets off the top of the broccoli and I just sprinkle that across the top of the linguine and all this, your mushroom soupage, linguine with the sprinkled broccoli to give it some color, and then like a little bit of fried onion for some crunch or whatever. I don't know. I've never made that in my life. I'm just off the top of my head thinking like presentation. My wife would probably eat broccoli. You bring a piece of broccoli to my wife, she's like, yeah. So for my wife to eat something, it's all in the presentation. But for me to eat something, it's all about what is that? Where did it come from? You know what I mean? Like, did you spray chemicals on it? Pesticides, herbicide, suicide, homicide. Keep the sides. Hold the sides. No sides for me. Okay? Like, no. If the vegetables little sticker starts with a 4, I ain't eating it. I don't care. I'm not eating it. You know what I mean? Like I found one the other day. It had a 9. It started out with a 9. So like your 7s and your 9s in the beginning, those are real good for the no sides. And it's like you got to decide for all these code words. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have an associate's degree at grocery store, and then like they're still coming through the grocery store spraying for roaches. It's like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Because like the produce brings in the gnats and stuff. So you go to the market and they sprayed the building with cockroach killer. You know what I'm saying? It's like, just because it's here, it's probably got chemicals on it, so you limit that as much as you can. However, builds a strong case for, build your soil, grow your own food, but, I mean, how much is practical, and then you got your, what happens after the global nuclear war, so I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, I bought a bucket of seeds that are non-GMO. So it's got the seeds for food, herbs, and medicines. And it all came in one bucket and everything like that. I've never opened the bucket. I just got the bucket, set it down. Okay, cool. There's my arc of the seed. You know what I mean? So like, whatever. And I always kind of felt like I'd be on the road. So I just like wanted to give everybody enough, to get through or whatever. And then my wife's like, she's pretty convinced that she's not going to be here, whether it's so far away or if like caught up in a cloud, whatever. Not really sure how all that works. But with my luck, I just assumed that like God in his great mercy will leave someone here to reach out to the lost, even through the tribulation and wrath. I've been through great tribulation. I don't think I've ever experienced wrath. As a matter of fact, I feel like I'm blessed and, highly favored, and, he has got me through when I should not have got through on a regular basis. For real. Like, hats off to Jesus. Thank you. And God's provision. Let's get a shout out to the guardian angels. Good job, guardians. You keep the truck upright. And that thing with the straight line wind that time. And, I've literally drove through tornadoes. So that ain't nothing to sneeze at. Showing up where a tornado has went through is one thing. But driving a semi-truck through a tornado, and this debris is going that way, this debris that's closer is going this way. It seems to be going away on this side of the road, and it's coming at me over here. So definitely a circular rotation with, entire oak trees, root ball and all, flying as you drive through it. Yeah, there's got to be some favor of God and some guardian angels involved with that. So, praise the Lord, hallelujah. Thank you, angels. And then that's every day, like my innards are fighting off germs. It's some kind of epic, the Knights Templar versus the Moors, battling it out type of deal. Just to not sneeze or whatever. You know what I mean? How epic is our carcass? You know what I mean? I don't know why I call my body a carcass either. I need to. What do you call a live carcass? I know I'm alive. I guess a carcass is after you're dead. Maybe I need to switch that up. Speak a little more life into my body. My living soul. There was a joke about the repo band that repoed for Kia. It's I'll take your soul. Car, the Kia Soul. Anyway, that guy from Mortal Kombat, get over here. I'll take your soul. Anyway, wow, that got dark fast. So, if I'm going to spend all this time and money and supplements and workout 75 hard, you know what I mean? I'm spending an hour and a half a day working out. I'm drinking a gallon of water, which a gallon of water in today's, August 1st, Texas. You might want to up that some. You definitely better get your LMNT minerals around. I found those to be pretty good. That brand LMNT. Honestly, my Sun tea jar with the green tea, that's about half a gallon, and then I'll make up another half a gallon with the lime and mineral salts. I like the lime and mineral salts better. I really do. And with the LMNT in a bottle of water, shake it up. It's super convenient. It will stop the crampy cramps. And if you're out here working out in this weather, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's a big deal. And then you want to have that. They're talking about the hydration and everything else like that, but bro, you want the flavored, you're going at it doing after, shit has hit the fan, and it's to the point that you're filtering your water. Your water might taste bad. So your LMNT flavors the water, and that's good. So I recommend that. Anyway, do what you can to get out there and walk and everything, but do what you can to, settle the issue of food. Okay? So, to recap, the is it kosher or not? Does it apply to the Christians? Well, don't strangle and don't drink blood. Place no further burden on, the one that they're milking it at that stage. You know what I mean? So like, when they left Jerusalem and they said that about the Gentiles and everything, there's no way there wasn't the assumption that these people were going to show up to church, right? Like, they're giving their life to God, and the people of that time were selling everything, living in like a hippie commune. You know what I mean? They had all things in common. They were communist, and the leader was God. The leader was God, and then like whoever was like super in tune with that, like zero greed, was the person that was like, deciding right and wrong. You know what I mean? I think in this case it was James, brother of Jesus, potentially, talking to Paul, the disciple, or the apostle Paul, the apostle to the Gentiles, right? So we got the Jesus versus Paul debacle on this topic of food. Both of them are saying the same thing. You know what I mean? And then of course, you got the tablecloth vision. Okay, so your tablecloth vision, we'll have to do a different video on that, and I'll have to read it and go over that, because that's something you have to settle for yourself. You really have to seek God on these things to see if it's even an issue for you. You know what I mean? Because like, if I don't know where I'm retarded, God's requirements of me are different than if I'm intelligent. You know what I mean? So like, Jesus even talking to them, and they're like, Abraham's our father and everything like that. He said, okay, so you say you're related to the people that killed the prophets. You know what I mean? So like, on the one hand, Abraham's kids had this blessing that lasts forever, but then his kids killed the prophets. You know what I mean? So it's just like, how much Abram do you want to claim? You know what I mean? It's like when it comes time for federal funding, and you're claiming Indian land in Oklahoma, you know what I mean? They're like, well, this ain't federal land. This belongs to the tribe of the, Cherokee, Choctaw, whatever. So you don't qualify for FEMA aid. You know what I mean? So like, when it comes time for the government to kick your door in and do a no-knock warrant, well, you don't want to be, you'd rather be on the Indian land with the extra protections. However, if a tornado smashes the community, it'd be nice to get some of that FEMA money, right? So like, how independent do you want to be from the system? You know what I mean? So in a similar way, like, if I'm retarded, then, I'm not held to the same standard. Okay, but obviously I'm not retarded. Okay, and then obviously most people are not. You know what I mean? So then we get into the ignorance. Okay, well, if I act like I'm ignorant, I don't know what the speed limit is, then that's my fault that I didn't read the sign. Okay, so I'm driving down the road, I'm doing 65 and a 55, I get pulled over, I say, oh, sorry about that. You know what I mean? It's at the cop's discretion to write me a warning, write me a ticket, be like, hey man, depending on how it goes down, it's their discretion. It's a discretionary situation where the law enforcement can escalate, or maybe talk to me or whatever like that, let me go with just a verbal or whatever. You know what I mean? They run my license, comes back, I've got 17 warrants, probably going to jail, right? So they might not even care about enforcing this speeding ticket, because there's like felony warrants out of state, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like, you're already caught up on so much mess over here that they ain't even gonna worry about this little deal over here. You know what I mean? You done broke every law under the sun, What's a little, how loud fucking cheeseburger? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're cheating on your taxes and you beat your wife. You might want to clear that up before you worry about, this tablecloth vision. You know what I mean? Like start with the obvious. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. You're going to need to read all of it and be aware of all of it. You know what I mean? But like, I'm not going to be over here and be like, well, I can't eat shrimp. It's not kosher. What do you mean the potatoes are cold? And just whack my wife, just black her eye. You know what I mean? Over some cold potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe you should work on your, lashing out at your loved ones. Maybe you should focus on, getting rid of the, whiskey. Maybe you should address the fact that you're sitting in the bathroom contemplating offing yourself because you have, issues from when you were 8 or 9 years old, or you've seen your buddy blow up in the G-Walk, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all this trauma and everything else like that. It's way more important to deal with. But maybe all you got today is, thank you, Lord. Help. You know what I mean? Don't worry about your cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you even supposed to have cheese on your hamburger? And all this stuff. Like, go ahead and, keep a job. Stay off of drugs and alcohol. And, pay your bills. You know what I mean? Show up every day. You know what I mean? Start your working out. You know what I mean? Listen to some people. Encourage what you're doing right. You know what I'm saying? Let God convict you of what's wrong and how to address it. God's way is always the best. So I want to seek that. And to come out and say, oh, well, I didn't know the law. You know what I mean? Like, really? That's what you're relying on, dude? Like, well, there's something about a tablecloth. It's like, what, well, I did read in here this one place that says, this is a statute before you forever. Surely this is not too hard. So either this chick Shirley's super tough, or it's not that hard for everybody. For sure. Lee. Surely it's not too hard. Right? You know what I mean? Aren't men stronger than the women? Did it say that? The stronger vessel? And he told Shirley it's not too hard. So Shirley, you can do it. And are you stronger than Shirley? I think you are. And in your weak spot, he is strong. So embrace your weakness, knowing that God's going to come through and help you with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to remove the thorn from your side, whatever that may be. But he's going to be with you through it because his grace is sufficient. He's going to mold you into what you're supposed to be through the struggle, through the process. Struggles with God. That's what Israel means. It means struggles with God, and you're grafted in. So you're part of that family tree, and there's some pruning and there's some difficulties, but man, the benefits are. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. It's man, if I can think about literally every possible concept, everything conceivable in my head, all of it, good, bad, or ugly, literally every concept, versus 10 minutes just hanging out with God. I would take the 10 minutes for real, and it would be better. You know what I mean? I mean, it's indescribable. It says something about his love. May you know the depth, the height, the width, and breadth of His love, which surpasses understanding. You know what I mean? Like, it's really that big. And it's so neat to ponder these ways. And then to just, pick you out a little old spot. You know what I mean? It's like, just to be driving down the road and just see a sign, Stuckey's, now with halal meat. And I've been thinking about this for an hour before I started making this video. Like, this is what I do all day long. You know what I mean? Because I'm driving, drive around bored and just ponder the things of God. Like, the truck driving, I'm telling you right now, some days it's so good, I can't believe they pay me. Other days, it is so difficult, I can't believe I'm dumb enough to do it. You know what I mean? And, I've been exercising patience. I just being chill with the waiting sections and the hassles and just letting it work out. Just watching to see if it will. Like, I read the book, I know it will. You know what I'm saying? Like, it will. I know that. But, practicing that. Like, putting it into action, putting it into practice. Like, your doctor is a medical practitioner, right? So, be a patience practitioner and roll this thing around a little bit about the food. You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to, provide sustenance to your living soul and be a positive impact for the gospel in the lives of the people around you. Just walking in love. You know what I'm saying? Just walking in love. And, be the light. Be the light. Delightful. It's a delightful day in the neighborhood. Alright, I gotta go. I'm getting into this trafficy situation. Rock hill. Go get him.